All right, welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've spent, even a minute in the corporate world, you already know this fundamental truth. Turbulence is basically guaranteed. But the funny thing is, that turbulence looks very, very different depending on where you sit in the organization. If you're a team lead, turbulence might look like a sudden unannounced software update that just completely breaks your team's daily workflow. If you're a director, it's losing your top 3 performers in the exact same quarter. And if you're CEO, well, turbulence is a sudden global supply chain disruption or a massive macroeconomic shift that instantly invalidates all your annual projections. The landscape is just constantly shifting beneath our feet. So today, we're going to unpack exactly how you can navigate that global business uncertainty. And we aren't just going to talk about surviving the storm either. We're going to look at how the absolute best leaders actually guide their teams through it to achieve incredible process excellence and continuous growth. To really get a handle on this today, we're drawing from some profound insights by Mayank Ravetti. Mayank is a financial services professional with over 20 years of deep, real-world experience in trade and cash operations. He's actually formalized his hard-earned knowledge into his Lead, Improve, Grow platform. And it's driven by a really simple but honestly beautiful mission. Small improvements lead to extraordinary results. By focusing on leadership, process excellence, and career growth, Mayank has created this blueprint for professionals at literally every level. So today, we're going to break down one of his most powerful concepts.
Okay, let's dive into this. The reality of unexpected setbacks. It is total human nature to just want a smooth, predictable quarter, right? But Mayank's core premise starts with a pretty harsh truth, which is that every single organization faces periods of uncertainty. You literally cannot schedule when a crisis is going to hit. I mean, imagine a sudden geopolitical event that instantly freezes cross-border trade operations. Boom. Without warning, an entire department is thrown into chaos, liquidity is locked up, and client panic sets in. Business is just inherently unpredictable, and ignoring that reality, well, that leaves you incredibly vulnerable when the tide inevitably turns.
So when we talk about uncertainty, what exactly are we facing out there? Imagine a scenario where a sudden market shift forces this massive top-down business transformation, right at the exact moment your operations team is already struggling to implement a really complex new technology platform. Suddenly, those operational challenges just cascade into major unexpected setbacks. That is the perfect storm. Any one of these factors is tough to handle alone, but in today's global business environment, you're often dealing with 2, maybe 3 of these massive shifts at the exact same time. The pace is just relentless, and the pressure on leadership is immense. But let's take a step back and look at the human cost. We so often talk about uncertainty in terms of profit margins or liquidity ratios and project timelines, but the true cost of uncertainty is organizational confusion. When a new critical system breaks down or a major compliance policy shifts overnight, the people on the ground, the ones actually executing the complex daily work, are suddenly caught in this very disorienting fog. And how do teams naturally react when they're stuck in that fog? Confusion, hesitation, and a whole lot of anxiety. Let's think about a real-world scenario in trade operations. Say your company announces a massive restructuring. Nobody knows who their new manager is or how their daily authorization limits are going to change. In that vacuum of information, productivity absolutely plummets. The real friction begins when that hesitation leads to missed service-level agreements. Critical wires aren't sent out on time. Anxiety causes departments to silo themselves, right? They start hoarding information out of fear of making a mistake in this newly changed environment. And instinctively, in that exact moment of hesitation and operational paralysis, what do? They turn their heads and look upward. They look directly to their leaders for guidance. And this brilliantly illustrates Mayank Trivedi's leadership lesson number 9. It states, very simply, the best leaders create clarity in uncertainty. It is such a powerful, stabilizing statement. When people don't know what to do, they look to their leaders for direction. Your team isn't looking for magic. They aren't expecting you to have a time machine to undo the crisis. They are just looking for a clear, decisive signal cutting through all that noise. So the crucial mindset shift you have to make here is choosing clarity over perfection. When a massive crisis hits, let's say a critical global cash processing system goes offline right before the daily cutoff, so many leaders fall into the trap of thinking they need to have all the answers immediately. They freeze. They freeze up because they are terrified of making the wrong call in a high-stakes environment. They think they need perfection. Actually, scratch that. They are convinced they need perfection, but they don't. What your people need most during uncertainty is not perfection, it's clarity.
Great leaders know for a fact they don't have all the answers right away. Instead, they focus on helping their teams understand the immediate priorities, the general direction we're heading, and the very next steps forward. Giving them those immediate next steps is exactly what unfreezes the team and gets them acting instead of panicking. So let's explore how this translates into an actionable framework for your daily management. Through his decades of leading operational teams and massive transformation initiatives, Mayank observes something really interesting. The leaders who make the biggest difference are the ones who communicate clearly, stay hyper-focused on objectives, and provide profound confidence when circumstances are at their absolute worst. And to do that, you need to deliver what we can call the 4 pillars of clarity. See, people perform at their best when they understand these 4 exact steps. First up, what is changing? Don't sugarcoat it. If a major client account is pausing operations because of a market shock, tell them directly. Second, why it matters. Connect that change to the broader financial health of the business so your team actually understands the why behind the sudden pivot. Third, what is expected of them? Give them specific, actionable tasks they can control right now in this moment, like manually verifying the highest priority trade settlements. And fourth, how success will be measured. In a totally chaotic environment, you have to redefine what a win looks like for that day. Maybe success just means 0 compliance breaches by the end of the shift. If you and your team can lock in on these 4 steps, you instantly strip away the anxiety and replace it with focused, tactical execution. I really want to reflect on a profound insight from Mayank here, because it fundamentally shifts how we view our jobs as managers and directors. Leadership is not about eliminating uncertainty. It is about helping others navigate through it. As a leader, you so often feel this heavy, heavy burden of trying to fix everything. But you cannot stop a global market shift. You cannot prevent a new technology from disrupting your industry, or a regulatory freeze from suddenly taking effect. Your job is not to magically make the storm disappear. Your job is to guide your team safely to the other side. When the path ahead is entirely unclear, when the old rulebooks just no longer apply to the new operational challenges your business is facing, leaders have to become the compass. You don't need to be the map that shows every single twist, turn, and obstacle of the journey, because let's be honest, that map doesn't even exist yet. You just need to be the compass that points to true north. By communicating clearly and staying focused on the immediate objectives, you provide that steady, calming presence that your team desperately needs to keep moving forward. And this brings us full circle, right back to the core philosophy of LEAD: improve, grow. Navigating uncertainty isn't just about crisis management, it's actually a critical component of continuous improvement and career growth. Every single time you successfully guide your team through a period of confusion by providing clarity, you are making those small, iterative improvements in your own leadership skills and your team's process excellence. These small, steady improvements are exactly what build robust, resilient corporate cultures over time. It is precisely this compounding effect that separates good managers from truly great industry leaders. We have covered a lot of ground today, looking at the harsh realities of global business transformations and the absolute vital need for clear direction over perfection. But I want to leave you with this question to reflect on, straight from Mayank's lesson. What leadership quality do you believe is most important during times of uncertainty? Think about your own experiences, the managers who guided you through tough times, and the kind of executive you are striving to become when the next unexpected setback inevitably hits. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. And remember, when things get chaotic, be the compass.